For him it is.
Forceful.
No kidding.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Scott,
Yes.
Joyce,
Yeah.
Linda,
Yep.
Steve,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Rob.
Yes.
Okay, we'll need approval of the video and the written minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second it.
Joyce,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Rob,
Bill?
Yes.
Steve.
Real
Abstain.
close.
Okay, financial report, Scott.
Okay, so here. Okay, the bank reconciliation posted 6/3/2019. We have $1,684,262.63. Check thing that lost here. There it is. And payment listing for the end of May, we spent $65,817.54.
Any questions on the financial report? If there's none, then we need to make a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to.
I'll second.
Rob,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Joyce,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Okay. Have no special guests, so. Okay. Finance budget and audit we did, so. Police, Kevin, you're up back.
All right, for the month of May, there were 4 traffic citations, 3 traffic warnings, 2 suspicious persons, vehicles, or trespassing complaints, 2 thefts or breaking and enterings, 1 vandalism or damaging, 1 disturbance, disorderly conduct, 1 parking abandoned or disabled vehicle, 2 alarm calls, 3 assists, and 3 other. There were a total of 22 calls. I handled 12 of those for 55%.
Any questions for him?
Thank you, sir.
Yep. No, I think he's doing a good job. Moving around, chasing it around good, so.
Okay, Mike, fire report.
That's probably what happened, Mike. I was looking all over for it.
There it is. Didn't look good enough, did you?
We had 10 calls for the month of May, which brings us to 47 calls. Let's see, the fire engines, pumps have been tested and certified. And the ladders, I just got an email today about the ladders to be tested as well, so we're doing annual testing of ladders probably this month or next.
Well, how do you test that stuff? You bring somebody in, or?
Yeah, I
You
had a third party.
Third party, that's why I was wondering.
Yep. Finley Fire come and did the pump testing in Kansas.
Okay.
Because we only had 1 truck needed pump test, so that was brand new, so that no sense in. It's cheaper if we go with somebody else than just do it ourselves. Same with ladders, we got Kansas bring their ladders over to us to get tested, it's only $40 a ladder, so. Other than that, been pretty quiet.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Mike, I have a check from the American Legion for being in the parade.
Oh.
That will give you over here.
Alrighty,
Okay.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is that it? Sounds good?
Yeah.
Yep, sounds good.
Good job.
Let that go.
Thank you, Mike.
Good. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Okay, clean up, Joyce.
Yeah, I've got 3 letters out, okay, and I might have to talk to Kevin here after a while. we were just talking here a little while ago, if they refuse to clean up in their 5 days, whatever, when I send them this letter, there's no mention of how much a fine is, or whatever. I mean, we aren't gonna let them get away with it, you know, so what do we do here?
Yeah, 'cause that one down on State Street's a real mess.
There'll have to be an amendment to that.
Well, I already called the health board, they promised they was gonna come out and see what they had to do, and they wanted to go in the house also. I don't know, I have a hard time with the health board because, twice I've called them and they say, well, we can't invade people's privacy just because you don't like the way they keep house, you know, or, if there's an odor coming out of there, well, we can't invade their, you know, I'm tired of invading privacy, I want stuff done, so I don't know who's gonna win this one, so we'll see. But, is there going to be any kind of a fine, or can we clean up ourselves? Can we go in and just, if they don't clean it up, can we?
No,
Not
they
going in
can't.
people's
Oh.
yards.
Can't do that.
No, you
No.
can't do that.
Do you have anything on your books about?
No, here's the thingy, you know, but there's no monetary whatever, it just says on my thing, cleanup committee is asking for your cooperation to take care of these matters within 5 days. Please note that after 5 days from receiving this letter, if they are not corrected, the matter will be turned over to the police department, so then, but
There's nothing to enforce.
there's nothing to enforce here, like, if he just gives them a ticket, we don't know how much to charge him, right?
There's no ticket to give.
You can't,
You're
but
not breaking the
yeah.
law, 'cause you don't have a law.
You don't have a law. You have a law, but you have no penalty.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So we're gonna have to fix that, right?
I don't know, maybe the best way to do it, like by offenses, not so much per day, but maybe do it by first offense, second offense, third offense or something, or what? I mean, I guess you have a time frame on it somehow, don't you, maybe? What do you think, Rob?
By offense, and each one has to be significantly harder.
Mhm.
Then you get
And
like,
then if they refuse at the end to do that, then we have to turn it over to the courts.
right,
So if you make it, my suggestion would be if you're gonna keep it in the village ordinance, I would make it a non-jailable offense.
Right.
So you're gonna keep it being a minor misdemeanor, so the max fine you can give them is $150. So, I mean, I think I think the discussion for you guys has to be how often do you wanna make it? So some places will have it be like, it's like every day, every day you don't do
Yeah.
it. Well, that becomes ridiculous.
Yeah.
right.
So I think that's kind of a policy decision of how that's gonna be enforced. But I would suggest not having it be any higher than, I wouldn't have it be something that's jailable.
Well, he just told us we have to pay if somebody goes to jail.
Yeah,
so-
that's why you're not gonna do
Yeah,
it. You're not doing that.
yeah,
But the max you can fine is $150.
okay.
Mhm.
Does that have to be on the paper?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, they gotta know what it,
They need to know the level of offense and what it is.
Okay,
Cause like you could say, you go to $50 start out with, and then 100, and then 150.
Do it like that, but how often can you cite them? If they
Whatever you guys put in your ordinance, I mean, you can do it every day, but like I said, that becomes,
That would be.
Yeah.
That would be crazy,
Yeah.
that would be ridiculous.
maybe you do 30 days or something, 60 days or something.
I'll give them a time period, 5 or whatever it says
well,
on
there's,
there.
like I said, there's
time
only
to
really
get
like one or
cleaned
two
up, and
people
then-
in town that just, buck us every inch,
and they'll buck the court and the court can go deal with it.
yeah.
Because we see these people when they're in court and
Yeah,
they're binders of stuff and they're just kind of out there.
Joyce, what is that ordinance number?
0709,
What is it?
0709,
What have you historically done? Nothing?
nothing,
Okay.
really,
We said
because
Joyce
usually they stick me on them. And then, they just kind of sort of clean it up, but this one, he isn't gonna do anything, I say.
I think it's worth it, and then at least you'll have it on your books. The other thing I would tell you is so let's say you charge him and he ignores it or whatever, and then you decide to charge him again. I would he's gonna have to get, whoever this is has to get convicted before the fine goes up. So you have to, it has to be based on your prior convictions. So if you give someone 10 tickets, and let's say you're gonna do 50, 100, 150. Well, if you give them 10 tickets, they're all gonna be $50 tickets. Unless they get convicted of something, and then now it's a $100 ticket. If now it's 150, then you can't ever go any higher than 150. You can charge them 1,000 times. It's always gonna be 150. But understand, there's gonna be a cost with that. Just the court's not gonna let you prosecute people for free.
Okay, we gave him, let's say you got a ticket, he owes $150, what if he refuses to pay?
Well, what the court will do is, it depends on the courts. Tiffin will, I think they send it to collections. So if they refuse to pay, there's just these court costs and stuff that are gonna sit out there. They'll send it to collections. They might, if he doesn't go to court, rep will issue a warrant. He'll issue a warrant, but it's not for the thing, it's for not coming to court. If you just straight up refuse to pay it, I mean, he could lock you up, but that wouldn't make a lot of sense. You want money.
Yeah.
And some courts will send it to collections.
Not really.
Really, we just want to say that.
No, I understand that. What I'm saying is, you don't want a person sitting in jail and now costing the city money
Right.
Right.
because they just said, hey, I'm not gonna pay it. There'd be a judgment, you could chase them and you could do that sort of stuff, but I think it's worth having on the books. Then as a council, you can ultimately decide how hard you want to enforce that or how hard you want to chase someone if they're not compliant. Because it really becomes the court's problem on the enforcement. Once it gets to them, they can deal with however they want to deal with it.
The reason why I asked that, this is a small town, and once the word gets out that
It may be
you don't
enough.
have to pay it, don't worry about it, they won't do anything.
Oh no, it's not the village that is going to make that decision. That'll be Tiffin Muni Court. They will make that decision of how to enforce someone's been charged. All we have to do is make the complaint. It is either again be the ticket or however you want to handle it. Once that complaint's out there,
That's the court's issue.
that's their problem.
When we issue the ticket, what's the process for them to become convicted?
More likely than not, either they do personal service on a summons, or you get certified mail. They'd get a court date, and let's assume they show up. Then probably normally with a prosecutor, they'd meet with a prosecutor. Prosecutor would say, "Hey, look, you clean up the yard. We'll let it. We'll dismiss your ticket." If it's a first offense, that's generally how a lot of places will operate. Person cleans up, great, you got what you wanted, which was the yard cleaned up.
Right.
Right.
They'll pay the court costs and away they go. If they say, forget it, I'm not doing it, they'll have a bench trial. I can't imagine them winning a bench trial, but I guess you could. If you got convicted, whoever this is gonna get a fine. Let's say it's a first offense, it'll be a $50 fine. Court costs are like, I wanna say 92, 96, something like that. And then that's what they're on the hook for. If you never ultimately played it, then the court can kind of decide how they want to enforce it. Sometimes Judge Rep will do pay or appear dates. You have to show up and tell me why you didn't, or I'm going to issue a warrant for non-payment. Other places that just is impractical, and so it would be, they would send it to collections. And the court has a contract with the collection agency.
Amen. Let's assume that we gave him a citation. He goes to court. The prosecutor or the judge says, okay, if you clean it up, we'll let it go, we'll drop the charges. Okay, because now he does it again, we're gonna give him another, which will be another $50 ticket.
Sure.
Because he wasn't convicted.
Correct.
What's the likelihood of them giving him a second chance at that point?
0. In Tiffin, at least.
Yep.
They're not going to do that. And that kind of bleeds into, and I know it's an old business, but I'll just touch on it. With regards to criminal enforcement of the tax stuff, most places that I have encountered with the tax returns, general policy is if you are a first offender on that sort of thing, if you go and file a return and pay the taxes, they'll dismiss it at cost. Generally, that's most places' policy on that kind of stuff is criminal charges, I guess, that are meant to make you do something, generally, if you then do the action, your reward for doing the action is, we're gonna let you go this time. But then they'll know, because it'll show a dismissal, and it goes back again, they're gonna know you had it previously dismissed, and they're not gonna dismiss the next one.
That's all I want.
So that's probably, so now I guess, now what's the next procedure? If we decide this is what we're gonna do, we make them,
We gotta make an amendment to that
Amendment to
law,
that ordinance.
stating what the penalty is.
Okay.
And I would make sure people know
Yeah.
that's out there. You don't wanna sneak attack someone on this
Right.
kind of stuff.
Right,
Right.
right.
so this is one of the things that's gonna take three readings before we can
I
actually
wouldn't,
enforce.
yes,
Yes, right?
Mhm.
I would do it by
Yeah.
the book, cause it's a crime, and someone
Yeah.
who gets real into this could really
Yeah,
push it.
right, and that's what I agree.
So in other words,
You can't do nothing this
can't do
summer.
nothing until Christmas?
If the snow flies, or whatever, but at least you gotta start it.
Well, at least the snow will cover it up.
That.
Hope for a white Christmas.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I think that's probably the right thing to
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
you know, 'cause
Well,
that's
can
only,
you,
because if you don't
can you
play.
bring the amended ordinance this
Yep.
next meeting?
Yep, as long as, I need a copy of the old one.
She needs a
I
copy.
got it, you want
Yeah,
it?
I'll take a copy of the
Oh,
old one,
Alex needs
and I'll
a
do the
copy.
amendment then.
Still won't be done till September.
Right,
right.
but I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah,
it
it's
could
not
be
gonna happen,
started
but it's
next
the right way to do it, I mean, and what we're trying to accomplish is just make sure the town
Yeah.
stays clean, right?
Mhm.
Our main objective is to have it look good.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it affects everybody else's property value, just because
Well, yeah.
you don't wanna take care of your property doesn't mean that,
How would you word that since there's no police department now?
I wouldn't. Oh, off the top of my head, I would simply add, the penalty for such and such is a minor misdemeanor and punishable by up to $150 fine. Per
So we'll put
occurrence
in
or
the
whatever,
per-
per
like-
occurrence or whatever, however you
Per
wanna put it.
occurrence?
Cause you could go and do it every day, it's just we're not going
Yeah,
to.
no.
It doesn't have to be spell it out, but
Right.
generally that's not.
Thank you.
I mean, you wanna get their attention, but you don't necessarily wanna be real punitive about everything all the time, right? You just wanna try to resolve the
You wanna
issue.
show the rest of the community we're being fair, we're being reasonable, but
Right.
that person needs to do their part.
Right.
That way you have the community on your side rather than on their side.
And my suggestion would still be to do what you've been doing historically, giving them a couple shots across the bow before you actually show up with a summons.
Right,
You know, so, I mean, you may get somewhere with letters on some people. But particularly if stuff's kind of, nuisance-y, but not necessarily, what we think of as really bad stuff.
That's about one way or the other.
Well, it used to be, we'd send his mother after him, but I can't find her this
I
time.
didn't see how you could write that up.
But she did, she'd make him clean it up, yeah.
Or she would clean it up.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Do they have to agree on a dollar amount before you do it, or do you?
I think that, I mean, if you want the 50, 100, 150,
That's
I'll
how
put
I
it in
do
there.
it.
Yeah.
You guys don't have to agree on it now, I'll put it in the ordinance, and then when it comes up for reading and vote,
yeah,
Okay,
but I think that's a fair way to do it.
that's a fair way to do it, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, water, sewer, and street, John said you don't have anything, or do you know?
Well, not really.
Okay.
We have water, we have sewer.
Jeez.
Yeah, we have all.
Nothing.
We had a,
All three.
no, we had a couple little blips with the power, but
Did we have any trouble with all this high water, any issues that created that?
no. No more than normal.
Good.
Any plans when we're gonna pave the last street?
We have 2 streets to pave yet. Sullivan and Elm, but I haven't gotten with Ken to give us an estimate yet.
Yeah, cause see, I seen Sullivan was starting a couple
Yeah.
areas where it's breaking apart, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what,
Yep, I'll give Ken a call.
is that because the buses are running down there, you think, or because they're bigger? I'm not sure why it's pushing on like this, but.
That tree that's coming down today, is that ours or is that them? Thank God, right?
Big
Okay.
sucker.
There's a,
Oh my God, that's a big one. Okay.
that's it then, John? That's all you got? Okay. Park?
Hi, Alicia, how you doing?
Hi, guys, I'm good. It's been a hot minute. Got to sit back
That's the
lately.
mermaid.
Yeah, the mermaid, yes. since now I'm a Titanic passenger, so obviously I like under the sea. I am here for the park committee. We did meet last Wednesday, and it was a decision made by some of the members that they didn't want to spend time with it anymore because there was some confusion as to what the committee was supposed to be doing. You know, when we had started this, there was some minor confusion between here, the committee, and the council as to what we were able to do. We did organize the cleanup, which had a fantastic turnout. I couldn't have been more appreciative of that. Then we were under the assumption that we could organize more events and handle the funds from out at the park. And that's where the confusion started, and that's when we started getting things cleared up. So I think by not being able to be here last month to attend the meeting, I missed out on understanding what all the committee can do. And I still would like to pursue this and push forward with the committee. Of course, with the council's approval, I would like to kind of look at hand selecting some people, and I had some ideas, but some of the people I'm interested in aren't from Bettsville, and I wanted to see if that was, or the Liberty Township area. They are from like Tiffin area, but still very interested in working with Bettsville as they have family from here and grew up in the area. But I didn't know how we'd feel about that. So that's one of the things. But I mainly, truly just want a clear understanding what the committee can do, what is expected of the committee, how the committee and the council can work together in getting the park not open for swimming, but to where people can see that it's more than just a swimming hole. That's my main objective.
Yeah, it's always a challenge.
And especially when we're going into the summer, it's going to be a hot topic, as we can clearly see on Facebook, social media. It's a hot topic right now. Everybody's going to talk about it, and it's only going to get worse. And I 100% agree with the do not swim at your own risk. I 100% agree with that.
We can't.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, we can't swim every
Don't
day.
even have to re-explain it to me.
Yeah.
I get it. Because I mean, if it was, I wouldn't even take my family out there.
I think the misunderstanding is how much it cost to open up the swimming.
Unfortunately, there was a, as I had said, misrepresentation.
Yes.
To where there was information obtained from the village's insurance company. And the information that was given to us was a number that the committee felt was inexplicably low. And they felt that it was irresponsible for the council to not move forward for swim at your own risk because of the cost of the insurance and what it was supposedly to be. But of course, there is a lot more than just face value when it comes to these kind of things, and I fully understand that and I'm aware of that. But they heard the number and decided that at that point they didn't want to be partaking in it any longer.
I don't think the people in town understand. We have tried to explain and explain and explain. They do not understand. It takes what John, between $60,000 and $72,000 to open the water. That is just for lifeguards, insurance. You've got to have a manager. You've got to have somebody to take care of everything. You know, you've got to have security. There's just all kinds of things that go into this. And they think, you know, well, you just open a gate and pay the insurance and everything's okay. And it doesn't work that way. And
my dad ran the park many years. I remember hearing stories about what it took.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know why they won't listen, you know, when there's somebody out there just saying, oh, let's just, everybody pay a fee and just go on and go swimming. Well, we'd have to have what? How many thousands of people would we have to have at $100 a year just to open a park, John? I mean, they just think.
The other thing I think that people don't realize is that for years and years, the park was actually subsidized. It was subsidized, and that, so there wasn't a large cost.
With the park levies that we had.
We had park levy, and then before that, the basic subsidized all that stuff.
Yes.
And on fairness too, back then, it didn't cost as much money because, you know, you could get kids working for $2 an hour and what they was paying back then, well, that's not the case anymore.
No.
You can't get people to work for $10 an hour a lot of times for
Exactly.
kids, right?
And especially at the quarry when you can't see the bottom,
And I think
kids don't want to be
work that.
responsible.
Absolutely not. That was one of I have friends who are lifeguards, and they will not work in quarries whatsoever because of how much more dangerous it is. And Gary, when we spoke about swim at your own risk, had an excellent point, because at first I was for it. So I was like, it makes sense. But then when I talked with Gary, he had an excellent point that, yes, it's swim at your own risk, but nobody's going to stay at that beach If a kid goes out and swims in the middle of the quarry because he's gonna try it, who's to say something won't happen? And that, all I can think about is what if it was my kid?
Yeah,
Absolutely, 100% understand.
and then if there was a lawsuit, they'd own the village.
No,
Mhm.
Yeah, they wouldn't go after the
And
committee
that
or
was,
nothing.
No, they'd go
Yeah.
after the village.
They
And
go
Charles
after
made-
whoever's got the deepest pockets.
and Charles made it clear that even though it says do not swim at your own risk, there is still liability.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's something that you
Well,
can't.
Well, the
Alright,
sheriff's
yeah.
man told us that too. It says you guys would still
Yeah.
be the one
Yes.
that's in trouble.
okay, yesterday, we found, I had a phone call, there was a husband and wife, kids and a dog in the pool, out or in the quarry out there, so, okay. I called, I was in Finley, so I called John, and then, I think, did we call you? Okay.
John called me.
And then today, there's some kids, they said they was fishing, but they're on the beach, you know, and wouldn't swim in, so, now, come on, you know, are you, so, I really feel, we say there is no swimming, and there's going to be some signs up by tomorrow or Friday or whenever.
There's already
okay.
a sign
There's-
up, but
okay,
it's
There's
not,
not.
but it's only at the beach.
Yeah, yeah.
There's gonna be a lot.
I
They're
want,
taking the signs down.
anybody we catch out there on the other side of that fence, I want them arrested. I'm serious, you know what, we have a town to protect here from a lawsuit, and I don't care if they just go wading, you know, they
Well,
can
if-
still fall over and drown.
Well, if they trespass, it's not on us. If they trespass and go in that water
I'm
and
just
something
saying,
happens,
that's-
then it's on them.
Yeah, but-
Because
But
I
that
mentioned
doesn't
that,
matter, this day and age, there, you know, there's these juries
they may
out.
try, but it wouldn't be our fault, because we have
My
up no
concern
trespassing.
is if we're getting reports through social media and through word of mouth and everything else, over and over and over again, how all these people are out there swimming.
A lot.
And we take no action, what kind of liability do we bring ourselves for knowingly allowing something to happen, even though we say they should?
Well, they're saying, go ahead and go on out there, they aren't gonna do anything to you anyway.
Oh,
So,
there's no
you know-
sheriff around to
Yeah.
catch us,
Yeah.
especially that one gentleman
Yeah.
that I argued with.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said he goes out there every
Every
day.
day,
so-
Well, the problem with that is we made an arrangement with the sheriff, with Gavin to patrol that, and that was to patrol our town and uphold our laws here. And it looks like we may end up having to take a little bit of the way to give Gavin time to police the park.
Right.
Because of the irresponsible.
They're
Because if
responsible.
we don't,
But
and
it's,
somebody
it's a
does drown.
certain few,
Coming right back on
it's just
us.
ruin it
Well, now
for
it's coming
everybody.
back on us, who
You know, this
at
is the
this
thing.
table would
And,
not feel
that
guilty
social
that we
media
didn't
thing
do something and somebody
just went
lost
nuts.
their life?
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, that, to me, that's the main thing.
Right.
There was a question raised by the committee of, why is it fish at your own risk? Why can't they do swim? The comment was made by someone that, where do you get more drunk at, fishing or swimming? Where are you more likely to have accidents at? But that, and so that was something that was raised, is if they're gonna make it, take away swimming, should they take away fishing too? Which is something.
Seriously thinking about it.
Hmm?
all the way around it.
I will make this comment about the park committee. Going forward, as every organization does, they have by rules. That if you want to be part of this committee or whatever the organization is, you have a set of rules that you lay down. And going on social media and stirring up half this town with misinformation, accusing the park of being the roadblocks for not having the park open. Saying that if you buy a membership, we can open the swimming, that sort of thing. That cannot be allowed by a park member, because they're representing us. And that can't be allowed. So in order to go forward, somebody's gonna have to sit down, us or Ed or whoever, gonna have to sit down and set up a set of guidelines. And they're gonna have to bring them to this council and say, these are our by rules. And then if you violate those by rules, okay, then somebody's gonna have to give somebody the authority to expel that member from the council, because we can't have that. When you start getting 200 posts on social media within
Yeah.
72 hours,
Right.
and they're some of the meanest, you don't even know those people are from here. Okay, but they're
It's not my
accusing us
fault.
of this
I
stuff,
bring
and they
mine.
got everybody stirred up in hopes.
Mine's old.
Some of those people I recognize, and they got them in hopes that, hey, if you buy a membership, we'll get you swimming. And that's just simply not the truth.
It's not the truth, because they don't understand the true impact.
Yeah.
And the other thing, and that's why, and for the finance part, that's why the 501c and stuff was set up.
Yeah.
So that was a separate entity, so
Yeah.
the monies and stuff that you
Yeah,
guys.
whatever you guys, entered, well, what, you know,
If you have a car show, Alicia,
Mhm.
if the group has a car show,
Yes.
and you bring in money,
Yes.
that money goes in
Yours,
your
your
fund.
fund, not us.
You raised it,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
but, like,
We have nothing to do with it. 'cause
we have nothing to do with it.
Okay.
We might be able to help you, you know,
Yes.
oh, another thing.
volunteer, whatever,
Did
but
we get
any fundraisers that you do for the park committee, that money goes in your treasury.
Right.
And
No.
we
Your
thought- and we
five oh
thought that-
one three C.
Yes.
With you,
and we-
yes, they
and
do
we-
have it.
yeah.
Yes, we've got one now.
Right, I know, but
Yeah.
I'm just clarifying, it's not their treasury.
No,
It's their
their
50, yeah,
501(c).
well, it's their 501(c), which is what I meant.
And I thought we pretty
Whatever.
well covered that at our last council meeting.
I was left with the impression that Ed did not comprehend a lot of what we were saying. And then that's nothing against Ed.
Yeah.
That was, he just didn't
Didn't understand how it works.
It's a lot of
And
information.
the other
It
person
is.
that was here was not listening.
Did, we get the baseball diamond thing settled?
I believe so. Tony's been using the field, looking very nice. He's done
yeah.
a lot of work. I would love to continue to let him utilize that field.
Well, you guys, yeah, that's what you guys.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and it seems that we've gotten things. He did have an incident with a Burgoon parent, and some issues with a lock that was broken. We don't know if that was related to the issue with the Burgoon parent or not.
Sure it was, that was really nice, wasn't it? I mean, somebody took a blowtorch and melted it, you know?
So that's something that I think moving forward, we're going to, you know, I had a parent message me, inquiring about the field, and I made it very clear that the field is to be used, is Tony's field. He worked on it. If there's any extra space available, the other teams are more than welcome to. But it's a softball field to me.
Can somebody explain to me, okay, there's three fields out there.
Right,
The one over here,
on this side?
yeah. What's the deal with the fence? I mean, a softball can only go so far anyway.
That was a
Well,
baseball
that's a
field, that's a
baseball.
baseball field, softball field's on
Well,
this
there's a
side.
fence over there too, isn't there?
Right,
There's fences on both
there's
sides.
fences on both sides, but this is baseball over here for the boys.
Yes.
And they can usually hit further than girls.
Yes.
And then this side was softball, and the girls played on this field.
Yes.
But
Boys
they
have a
wanted-
big- The baseball field will have a bigger infield too.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Cause those
baseball.
bases are 30 feet longer.
Yes.
Well, does it have to be legal or something, or are these just kids playing out there?
Depends on what if they're
If they're in a
affiliated with
league,
something.
Tony is
They
a
got
league.
their rules.
Yeah,
They
they have their own
have-
rules.
So,
yes.
a lot of
They
these
won't use
teams,
that
like
field.
these travel teams,
Mhm.
I spent way too much time involved in this.
Really?
These travel teams a lot of them are affiliated with different sanctioning bodies, like Nations or USSSA or Cal Ripken or Little League, that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
There are rules.
Yeah,
And then, so in theory, let's say you're in a league and Bettsville's gonna play, BG's travel team and it's a Nations game, there's rules. Like, you
Yeah.
can't be playing on 50-foot bases or something there's,
Or they won't
That sort of
utilize
stuff.
that field.
Well, couldn't Burgoon have went up on the other one?
Of course.
Well, they could have fixed it up the,
if the
Of
fields are
course.
up to snuff,
But
you would
yeah.
have those fields used in 2 seconds.
Absolutely, 100%. Burgoon is always hurting for fields. They only have 2 or 3, I believe, over in Burgoon. Last year it was Burgoon was using the space as practice space, so they never did any upkeep. Tony is utilizing the space as his main practice and his game. His home games are held here. So that's bringing people in.
yes.
And so we naturally gave him, you have your schedule, you set your schedule is the main schedule, everybody else can fill in between you.
Right.
And
Exactly.
other than the one incident, I've not heard anything else, and
Okay.
working with him has been a pleasure. Very,
Good.
very pleasant.
Good.
I enjoyed it, and I'd like to encourage him to.
And there are a healthy amount of pretty small towns that have pretty serviceable fields. So I don't, and it's all volunteer stuff, but like Tintagony has serviceable fields and Haskins and these pretty small towns. And those fields are used all the time.
Yeah.
That's something I would really love to explore in the future, but right now my main goal is just getting things straightened out and an understanding, so that way we can move forward and get members on the board who are focusing on the park, not just one aspect of the park. You can't fix
Well,
everything.
see, the problem, I think what it comes down to, the social media is information, so
Absolutely.
it screws everything up. So that's why you gotta stay strong and be firm with what you're, like, drops in your bylaws and all that stuff, be firm with that stuff and say, this is how you fund it, this is where money we use and stuff like that. Because these people don't look at reality, they just, somebody says
They
something, they
got
assume that's
one
where it
track
is.
mind, they're focused on that, and that's all they want.
You know,
So, we are also thinking seriously of selling it to a private person, you know, to make a campground or whatever, you know.
It was something that was discussed, was coming
Yeah,
back to the
yeah,
council and
and-
discussing that as an option as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think all options are kinda out there on the table because we aren't gonna
Well, and I think Charles
keep
put
getting
out a
stuff
very,
done.
a very intelligent post when he explained
Yeah.
that there were only
Yeah.
3 options of getting the park, you know, funding to the park to where we would be able to. He explained each individual option between, you know, taxes and I can't remember what the other 2, but I know that the third option was.
Well, the park district turned us down, we
Yeah.
already
Yes,
contacted
yes,
them.
the park, getting with the park
Yeah.
district, taxes, and then there was just another option that I. Private, selling it, yes.
Because,
But
like I
that-
had put in my one post, when somebody mentioned money in the White Star.
Mm-hmm,
White Star's run by Sandusky
County.
County Park District.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
We approached Seneca County Park, they'll do the park, but they want nothing to do with the quarry.
Yeah.
So,
And that's gonna be.
one goes with the other.
Yeah.
If you
And I
killed the
explained-
quarry, if you killed the quarry as part of the park, if you sold it or whatever, if you killed the quarry, your resources are gonna end up being much better used between, now you can do a zillion nature things with the park, or then time and resources are into, you know, playground equipment and
Yeah.
you get
Yes.
this baseball thing, it's a
Yeah.
I cannot stress how hard it is. There are a million of these travel teams, and they are
Yeah.
aching for field space.
Even
my
adults,
grand-
adults.
That
college.
wasn't something I wanna
It's
focus on.
Yeah.
there's travel
Yeah.
teams that are 9-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
It drives me,
grandbaby's
it's
one of them.
insanity, and these people pay real money, and they will rent these fields. They will pay money to do this stuff.
I don't know what they do in Fort
Sam,
Seneca,
does,
but
Meadowlark over there, do they still have the ball games over there? Or did they close them up? Cause they used to pay money out, you know, for those.
They drop.
well, I
Isn't
don't
Meadowlark over there? Oh, they changed it, but they still have games there though?
Yeah, they have games every night.
Do they? Yeah, and they make, there's money made over
You can
there.
charge a team
No?
$300 a year or
That's-
more to rent a
that's-
field.
The
Without
city
blinking, they
uses
would do
the
it.
field.
exactly.
Okay.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
he did a
That's
nice,
what you guys
he did a nice job.
I would like to, I would definitely like to
But
look.
that's
into
once
it.
you get them
Hey,
fixed
then
up,
They do have
Once
some.
once you get them up to speed, they're easy.
Okay.
That makes a lot of
Hold on, we
sense.
got too many people talking.
But you also have tournaments and stuff too.
But
Yeah.
I think what you said is the committee's fine, but I think you got to stay within our
The Bible.
I mean, if you've got somebody off thing to wants to help you in that, that's great. But, I mean, if we're in the Old Fort School District and in the town and that, I think we should definitely have that
Okay,
for that. But I mean, anybody else that you have can help.
right,
Yeah.
volunteering, things
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
okay.
That kind of
No,
stuff.
that's perfect, that's why I just wanted an understanding there. So, as I understand it today, the committee has our 501c, if we hold a car show out there and we charge $5 a car to come into this car show, that $5 we charge goes with us.
Yes.
If we
Yes.
charge, if I put the carnival out there, I'm not going to charge for rides, but if I were to charge 50 cents a ride, any amount of money I raise from that goes into the, okay.
Yes, yes.
But on the 4th of July, if there were any fireworks, the $5 a carload would go to the council.
Right.
That's if you
Yes.
put the fireworks on. If you
Then
put
it's-
the fireworks
If
on.
you put them on, then it
Then it
goes
would all
to
go
you.
to you.
But if,
Yeah.
The village,
Yep.
and while we're on the fireworks, there will not be fireworks this year.
Yeah, on the village would be
what does it cost to do it?
Last
15,000.
year.
Yeah,
Was it
14,
Well, no, that's just for the
15,000.
fireworks.
That's just for the fire.
Yeah, that doesn't include
And
the
it-
security, like Gavin and the police people.
And if you had somebody, I mean, if you had to pay to have somebody do the show, because we're lucky we had Jim Lang and his crew, which is all licensed and everything, they did it for us and didn't charge us a penny.
Mm-hmm.
But if you was to do it, somebody else, then But I mean, I'm sure he would do it if
Right, if
you
we could
guys
get
had the money.
If we could get the $15,000.
Well, realistically, it's close to
It's-
25,000,
Yeah.
25,000.
Yeah.
$25,000.
Because
But that's
By the
just for the
time it's all
fireworks.
said and done.
Done, yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah,
realistic.
the fireworks alone, we spent, well, the village put in 15 and then we had 1,000 from Vesuvius. Or we
Right.
spent 14, had 1,000 from Vesuvius and 1,000 from the
Legion.
Legion.
Yeah.
So I thought it was around 17,000 or
Yeah.
somewhere in there before we got done.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it may even be too
There's a point
late to
for you.
order
There
fireworks
are
now.
companies around here that will donate to you if you
Yeah,
ask.
yeah.
That's what I'm,
But
not
you
saying I'm
can't-
gonna try this year, but
Yeah.
I'm getting ideas
Yeah,
just so we can kind of
Well,
look in.
and like, I told you too, that like Gary Nye, he helped us immensely one time, but he can go out and get troops, he's got people that, he got some pretty good donations out of it.
Because you're a separate entity now, so that
So we
way,
can,
Yeah,
so
so you guys can get it, so.
hypothetically, if, and I'm not saying I am, because I have a lot going on right now, but if we wanted to try and get fireworks this year, is there a deadline?
No, it's past.
Yeah.
It's
It's
passed.
passed,
Okay.
yeah.
You gotta
He
work.
couldn't
That's
do
what I
it
want.
this year.
'Cause he
And
got
I'll
ordered
tell you, the
what,
most
May?
we ever took in off of the $5 cars was $7,000.
They have to
Yeah.
be in by.
But-
So, yeah.
It wouldn't even make a dent. They never do, they
I mean,
parked up.
Jim said he
Mhm.
robbed it,
Yeah.
but it's-
But there's years when we had a lot grander fireworks with a lot of vendors and stuff out
I
there.
remember those.
And you can get a percentage off of them.
That was a lot of the stuff we talked about before everything kind of got
Fell apart.
confusing and people went, what's the word I'm looking for, crazy and went and
Went
sought
off
out
the
their own,
deep end.
off the deep end,
Off the deep
searching for
end.
their own information, trying to see where they could expose things that were untrue but
Yes.
didn't. Was looking at bringing out vendors. There is a community member who organizes lots of events. We talked about doing a Jeep show and people will come for Jeep.
right,
And those are things we discussed, but then things started getting confusing, there was misunderstandings. And now I'm hoping, this year, I'd like to see another event out there. That's something I'm going to try and work on towards Labor Day weekend-ish. See what I can come up with since I've got some time now. But now we're looking more into next year, because
Yes.
now we're in June, 6 months into the year. There's, now I have to focus on the carnival, I have to get all of that going. The garage,
Yes.
community garage sales are coming up, so there's lots of things that I have to kind of devote my time to, and
And
now.
don't you think about vendors, you need to talk with John about the electricity.
Mhm.
If they need electricity, if they're gonna bring their own generators, and if we can, work all that.
Yes. Another thing that was brought up was the maintenance of the buildings out there, as to where that responsibility falls. Because that was something that we didn't understand.
I
Is
think
that,
that's us.
That's
That'd
us,
be
that's on
good.
us.
so,
Our buildings, we should because we're insuring them too, I'm sure.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
oh,
so if
yes.
we, if, let's say this thing takes off and in 5 years, we get a great bank account and we want to update the bathrooms, that's something that we would have to come back here, and how would that work?
No, we can ask for grants too.
That was,
We
and
got
that
a
was.
grant for the last time we got the bathroom.
So I think that was what my
Yeah, but
understanding
don't we
was, is
need
we could
the
apply for a
surveys
grant.
Pardon?
Don't we need the surveys done to get grants?
Yeah, you gotta do, then you
We
gotta.
gotta do the surveys to get
That's
grants.
that's a side issue. We're talking years down the road. so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but just kind of garnishing an understanding here of what, if we do have to get grants and it's a matching 25%, can the committee give to the council that matching 25% then? Or is that something that has to come from the village
Well,
funds?
time out, we're getting confused again.
See, and that's,
You're talking about you guys having a big bank account and redoing the bathrooms.
yes,
So go ahead and do it.
okay,
If you're talking about something that needs done immediately, come to council and say, hey, the roof's bad on this, it's leaking. But if you're talking about upgrading something out of your account, that's your deal. All you gotta do is come to these guys and get permission.
okay. Okay. But if it were something serious, like a storm comes through, blows the roof off the shelter
That's
house.
why we have insurance.
Yeah,
Got it, okay,
Yes,
light bulb.
But that's not to say that if you guys wanted to, say, do something with the bathrooms, that we can't apply for grants to help out with that.
Yes, yes, and I did see there were quite
But
a
we
few
just have to make
grants
sure that
out there.
there's your 501 and then there's the village.
Two
They
separate-
can never be together.
And you did mention something about the name. Will we have to change the name? Is the Bettsville Park Activities Committee?
that's,
Oh,
No, that's
That's fine.
fine.
Are you
Feedback.
sure? Because that's something for,
That's yours.
you're not, it's not, it doesn't say anything about being the village of Bettsville.
It does, it is the Betsville
You're your own
Park.
entity.
Yep.
That's what it, I mean, I guess we could have called it HBL's Park Activity Committee if we wanted to get super technical, but who calls it HBL's Park? It's Betsville Park. Okay, that's what you had said something about that, so I just wanted to
All right.
Yeah.
get everybody here.
Coming back to June 2019.
Yes.
I think before we start taking these grandiose steps towards
Yes.
anything, you need to focus on getting a committee that's willing to work together.
Absolutely.
And that be your focus, and get that established.
Along with your
And
bylaws.
then lay out a 12 or 18-month plan. These are the activities we would like to do that's feasible, that's going to help our bottom line with the 501c3.
and that's with these guys, but Chuck's got a book that's probably about that thick that has the rules of the 501c3, and that needs to be read before.
We went through our articles and everything on it, and we understood I understood what the 501 you could and couldn't do, what it, but I think if we when we reform the committee, we'll bring in new people, obviously, that's something I would like them to do, is to understand what it means, what the difference is between the Bettsville Council and the Bettsville Park Board. Is it is two separate entities, and I really need to home in to these people that it's not a whipping board, that you didn't set us up to take the blame.
Right.
Right, no.
No,
Not at
it
all.
wasn't anything like that, it's just that this is an avenue we're trying to explore, and it's the easiest way to get donations for the park,
Yes.
for things.
Just
We
remember,
can't get-
You guys are a legal entity when you sign that program, so you guys are your own.
So
Yeah.
getting to that committee, I fully support the idea of you working with getting members of your own, because I'm kinda hesitant with us picking a bunch of people.
Yes,
Throwing them on there, and then you have to deal with them.
yeah.
Right.
You need
I
to
don't
pick your
think
own
that will
people.
work. I think it's
Yeah.
people that you personally know that you can work with, and that they understand the seriousness of your bylaws and what you're trying to achieve.
Because if it's its own operating park committee as opposed to a park district per se, I don't think the council should have anything to do with who's on that. It's its own.
No, I
animal.
don't think so,
I agree.
I think Alicia should be more of a liaison between their committee for their 501c3 and the village, rather than have something named a park committee.
Right, right.
Yeah, I
agree
mean,
with
I
agree with that.
it would, not a confusion thing, but it truly has, and I think this is where the confusion may be, your group truly has nothing to do with anything that's going on in this room.
Right.
All you're doing is using village-owned property. For all intents and purposes, that's all that's going on. You could have 1,000 car shows there every day of the week, until we told you not to for some reason. And that's its complete own animal. And your point is well taken. If you come and say to village, there's a massive gaping hole in the bathroom, the village can fix it because it's their property. They also could say, nah, we're gonna leave the hole. This place is, and it's different from, say, Bowling Green Park District. Bowling Green Park District is a department within the city of Bowling Green. You are not a department within the village of Bettsville.
No.
You do whatever you want to an extent. You're your own animal, your own thing. I guess the question becomes then, and I think when you start getting into events, which I would think you'd have to do to make money,
Yes, absolutely.
when Billy gets hit with a line drive, whose insurance is covering Billy?
Most traveling leagues
And
carry
carry
their
their
own
own
insurance.
Yep, I
So that
agree.
would fall on them. That wouldn't be anything that has to do with the committee or the council, as it was my understanding from Tony.
I would agree, that's correct.
Yeah.
I largely agree with that. I'm just saying is, don't look for the village's policies to cover your activities. Because
Okay.
you're your own animal.
All animal. Okay.
If that, and it sounds like that's the intent of the group. It's its own completely operating thing. And I think that rotates you guys back to your fireworks. That's on you.
Okay.
That's, if you guys want to host fireworks, and then you can run around every door in the city and ask for donations, we can't.
Right.
You can do anything you want. And I don't, and it's not even a wink, wink, nod, nod from the council. You are your own animal. You could put on a fireworks show every day.
Okay.
I wouldn't, but you could.
I don't want to.
At least that's my
Yeah.
interpretation of how that entity is operating
That's
versus
what I
the
like, where
village.
you can go knock on somebody's door. We
And that's
can't.
what the kind of the
Yeah.
formal understanding was, but unfortunately, as I said, I couldn't attend some of the meetings and I didn't have an understanding, and
But you do now.
now I do, and now I am ready to take this on and get a group together to.
Basically,
Get
you
this
guys are
moving.
doing extracurricular activities. We're
Yes.
still maintaining the property, we're still
Mhm.
taking care of our buildings.
Mhm.
You guys are just having fun stuff.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
With that
Okay.
said, at the beginning of this meeting, even prior to the beginning of this meeting, we talked about unauthorized swimming at that park.
Right. Needs to be
I
dealt with.
also heard that there was a lot of damage, or some damage been done.
There's
to
some
the
theft
fence.
of copper wires, there's some
I
damage.
mean, the signs, John orders a bunch of signs that tell people they're not allowed to swim, that's a good start. But how does this council feel about repairing that fence and getting it back to where
It's secure.
it's
Yeah.
secure again?
I think we have to do it, don't we, John? Yeah.
Yes, we do, most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah, 'cause if we
We're
don't, if we don't wanna listen to
We're
it,
making
we
an
have
honest
to
attempt to
lock it
secure
up.
it. I mean, you can't totally lock it down, but.
Yeah,
we're
in other
gonna-
words, we didn't hear about something and didn't do anything about it.
Right.
We took action.
Right.
So I think that would be kind of a priority for us.
You got any other questions for us?
No, I think I've got all my notes hit, clear understanding, I would like to continue. Oh, Seneca County Park District is coming out on October 8th. We set up that meeting prior to the committee meeting this last time. I don't know, they go to area parks and hold meetings, and we get to walk and talk about the park. So if anybody's interested in attending that, it'll be on October
When is
8th
it? October 8th?
at 2:30 at the park. And we'll basically go over the history of the park, where it started, why we have it, what it was, and what our future plans are with it. But that's some time away.
Okay, I got one question for the council. And this, you don't have to answer, it just rolls around. Does anybody sitting at this table have any thoughts that somewhere down the road, no matter how long down the road it is, that we'll ever be swimming at that park again? So if the only hangup between Seneca Park District working with us is the swimming addition, would the council be okay with talking to Seneca County Parks District and say, look, the swimming's out of it?
I guess the issue comes down is, because you have that body of water.
You
Right.
can't use
That's the
clothes
issue.
up
That's
before,
the
yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
That's the
And the
issue.
problem is, I think that was deeded to the town, so we're stuck with that property,
Well, yeah, And
right?
I can
Yeah.
understand that, because here you got this fence that we used to use as like a concession, okay, people running, and you got this beach,
Right.
which is inviting you to swim. And I don't know, at some point, we may wanna say that, hey, we don't want it to look like that, we don't want that kind of appeal to people when they walk in here. You know, the nice graded beach and all that. Now, I realize it costs money, and it's probably nothing we're gonna do right away, but you might wanna roll that thought around in your head.
As far as making it all improved.
Yeah, just, it's no longer a beach. It's no longer a beach. You know, get the concession stand out of the way, or whatever it is, so it's not attracting people to say, this is our swimming hole.
Well, the concession stand might help the park,
And it may.
your committee, if they have a big thing.
Well, maybe move the fence forward on the other side of it,
Yeah,
what you're saying, or
and
whatever.
just put it up, you maybe a higher fence, and, one little gate that's locked, and just let the, I don't know, you walk out there, I remember the old beach,
Right.
okay? And like, there's always gonna be this possibility. And if it doesn't look like it's any place they're gonna swim, maybe that'll over time die out.
But like I said, you have a car show, you might wanna use a concession stand to sell hot dogs and chips and that, and drinks. So,
That could be.
that might,
that would
so
be-
I don't feel we
I'm
should
not-
close the concession stand.
not
No,
saying-
no, but what we're saying is it's securing the water, so
Yes.
that's what we're saying, moving the fence forward on the other side of that way the building's still available. but
Yes.
It's not a usable beach anymore, so we can backfill the dirt or whatever, so it's not becoming of something that's.
Plant flowers and
I don't know
where
who it was inviting
Eddie's,
to, it doesn't look inviting to
No.
me.
Eddie's up there along the fence, so if you know, something.
Fill in the baby pool
No, I agree with that thought process, because I think it just takes that away from them. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
because we know it's not gonna be a reality, because it's the cost, it's not cost effective. and we
I'm
don't
talking
want-
about changing the culture.
Right,
That's what I'm.
that's the way you're gonna do it, right?
Can we move the fence down
That's-
past the beach?
That's what he's.
That's what I'm saying.
But if we get an investor that wants to buy it,
That's up to him.
It's up to him to do
let
whatever.
him- There's so much work that had to be
Yeah.
done to it anyway. Let him envision the way he wants to envision,
Yeah.
or she.
They wanna invest the money, that's up to them.
Yep.
It's a pretty funny, somebody was interested in doing a music festival out there kind of deal and broke down the costs and it's
yeah, they tried this
astronomical.
before with
Yeah.
Estrom, yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, people just don't understand how much stuff costs today.
Well,
I
see,
think that's what Nate realized when he
Yeah.
came to us and said, I'd like to do this and this, and
You
then
don't
when they
realize
did
the
the
cost.
walkthrough, he didn't realize the cost that it was gonna take.
See, that, I think, that's one thing where, back to the annexation, I'm not sure where we're at with that, but that's something, if it becomes part of, a taxing part of the town, and then if we sell it off, say you sell it off or whatever, and they can do their promotion or have a part where they want out there, at least that way. you-
The town would still
have income
reap a
from
little
it.
bit of income from it, you know.
That would be, the town itself would be in a better position than we are
Yeah.
today.
Yes.
I know I've said this many times, but I'll repeat it for your sake. When Linda was the manager out there, my wife used to take our grandkids out there swimming all the time, and nobody else is out there.
Right.
That's when $3 to swim, and nobody took advantage of it.
And it's even worse today, the kids don't wanna go out there, they're busy at home playing games.
And that's what.
Nobody
there
wants
was-
to be
there
a
was
lifeguard.
You know, we were astounded by how many people commented on that post, but I can guarantee you no more than maybe 10% of those people would actually show up
Exactly.
and buy the membership.
You're gonna have more
Exactly.
people using the park to walk the dog,
Yeah.
and that's where parks are going.
Yes.
I mean, the people who have pools, they have very clear pools, and that's their thing. Quarries are dead, aside from White Star. No one, and Portage is gone. Other ones are gone. Your park will be used for park things,
But we need to bring those type of activities
Back.
All right.
Yes.
Back- Yes.
and I think the
Yeah.
faster you kill any thoughts of swimming, the better.
Mhm.
Because your guys are in agreement, and it's just not gonna happen.
No.
It's unfortunate because that was, you know, one of the things that the committee had discussed and one of the things they really wanted to focus on. But even sitting at one of the first meetings, the treasurer had done the math and broke it down and she had found it was going to be around 30,000, but she didn't, I don't know if she took in management and security and anything else,
And
and
then
that
it
was
was a
just,
concession stand,
Yes.
concession stand food, and.
that was just the
That's all.
cost
Yeah.
of lifeguards and
Yes.
things like that.
Mhm.
So, that, you know,
Yeah,
that.
you still gotta pay PERS, you still gotta
Yep.
pay workman's comp.
Yeah.
A lot more cost than you realize, not just a dollar, an hourly
Yeah, it's not
rate,
just
all the
a
other
dollar.
things that go with
Like,
it.
I
go
told you I
behind.
missed a few things.
Yes. No, that's okay. But there was one more thing that I just would like to clear up since we're at the meeting. One of the things that was brought up as to why the park could never be sold, although I hear us discussing it, was that the park was in a lease for 99
Well, where did that
years.
come from?
Mm.
This
I don't know
money?
where that
That's
came
one of
from.
your social media people.
I had,
Yes,
Yeah, it's not true.
that's not true.
just would like to
Never
clarify
mind.
that for anybody who
$1
watches and
We
hears that.
purchased the park for $1,
Yeah, so
Mhm.
we own
and
it.
we own it for
And
$1.
we got screwed over by 50 cents.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, the
So there's
intention was
no
good, but I don't
lease,
think.
there's
that-
no nothing.
Well, yeah, on the boring quarterback it is.
Great, well, I think I've got a pretty good understanding. Again, it's probably not gonna be anything that we're gonna, like I said, I'm shooting for something in the fall.
Yeah.
I would love to see, something on top of the carnival, but of course,
Right.
this is volunteer time for
You
me.
could throw a car show, but it went good, we had a couple
We
of
had
them.
a couple of
We had a lot of
absolutely.
people out
We had a
there.
lot of people, we had a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the bottom line is, I think the council and everybody really, we're supportive, but we're in reality, what the costs are and what we can afford.
Yeah, we can't go
Absolutely.
backwards.
And we
We
can't go
can't
backwards.
go back what it was like 20 years ago. It's impossible.
Absolutely.
The one thing that was on a lot of those posts that kept on going over and over again, that council wasn't doing their best to work with Old Fort. He approached right after it happened.
More than once.
Yeah, more than
We had
once.
the door slammed in our face.
Yep.
They don't want no part
They
of this.
don't need us, they said.
Yeah.
But they use the park for the school
Oh,
function.
look, we said the same thing.
And another misunderstanding I think the town has, yeah, we reconciled at $1.6 million.
Mhm.
That's not all usable funds. We have scholarship funds that we're not allowed to touch. We have water and sewer funds you can't use for anything
They
but
don't
water and
move.
Yeah,
sewer.
they have no
Yes,
You know,
idea.
there's a lot of funds that are in the bank reconciliation, but it's not really the town's money.
I posted all the funds up on the post office
Yep.
wall.
But nobody
Yes,
And
I had
understood
nobody,
seen that.
nobody know.
They didn't understand
They
them.
didn't understand them, and don't understand that we can't use, this money's, the state and the county tells us where we can spend money, and nobody will listen to us on that either, they think we're sitting on a bunch.
That comment got so much notoriety, Scott had Julie from the county come and explain.
To our meeting,
to
and she
that-
came
this
to our meeting.
That money can't be used for that park.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to move forward and have something going, between all the other things I do. And,
We understand that.
yeah.
You know,
But we appreciate you
We
wanting to
appre-
spend
yeah,
and pick up.
We
absolutely.
appreciate you wanting to come and understand where we're coming from,
Yes,
so that when you get bombarded, you can say, hey, look, this is the way it is. And and as far as I'm concerned, you've got our support. You've got council support.
which is great. I mean, that's gonna be nice to be able to come back. So that's something that we definitely need, and I'm looking forward to maybe doing some car shows, getting some
Yeah.
things out there to start getting an income into the committee to where we can
Yeah.
start,
Yeah.
you know.
And I would help us with the car shows, cause I know some people.
Gary
that-
knows people.
that put them on all the time.
Right.
And I know one in particular that put it on out there, and I'm sure he would be, him and his wife would be more.
Yeah.
The one we did, they got a free hot dog and a drink,
Yeah,
right, Gary?
Yeah.
If they entered or whatever, and, I
Okay.
mean, and then, of course, that brings them to the concession stand, so that brought them
Yeah.
candy, and that
Yes.
brought them to the other things we had in there.
I'm also exploring fall ball, kickball leagues. I mean, like you said,
Yeah,
people
nice.
that adult leagues, they'll bring in.
Yes.
The adults.
and what was it, one thing that said something about there was a soccer team that was interested?
I think it was just a one-time deal.
Oh,
I think they were just utilizing the space for practice because they have not been out since. So
Okay.
that'd be it, and those are
that's
something.
okay though, because I mean, sometimes we gotta try it first time and see if it's
See
gonna
if
work for
it's a,
everybody.
yep,
But that
exactly.
stuff's the future of the park.
Right.
It's park stuff.
100%.
It's not the pool, it's not the quarry, it's the park.
You're right,
Yes.
yeah.
And we just need to get more people. I mean, it's going to be a lot of pushback. Now with
Well, you know,
it without. Oh yes,
But it's also low cost stuff.
yes.
It really
things
is.
that we don't necessarily have. I mean, we have no hand with Tony. You know, this year, yes, he's using the field for free, but you know, next year, who's to say that we wouldn't charge him a rental?
No, and if you got the fields up to speed,
I mean,
it's
yeah,
not
he-
difficult
he
to
did-
maintain, it's
he
just getting to the point where you're
He
dragging them.
done a lot of work on that.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
It looks nice.
Most of these teams enslave their players to go drag
That's what he
fields and rake
did.
and move on. That's
He
how,
brought his kids in for the team.
how
and
high
they did
schools
the
are.
work.
Yeah, that's
No,
true.
no employee's going out to BGHS's field and doing anything to it. Those
No.
kids are doing it.
Kids are doing it.
Yep. So that's something I think that is the, like as you said, that is the future of the park is where we have to go. And we just need to get a group of people who don't necessarily have to be like-minded, but just understand that we are ignoring a part of that park. We can hold fishing derbies, you know, we can
Right.
utilize it for that type of, you know, that type of activity, but our main focus is the land.
Yes.
And that's where our income.
But I do think that we do have to put the swimming in, nip that in the butt and all that stuff and put signs
Exactly.
up and that. If for somebody out there, then we need to, we
That's
have to trust.
our number
Yep.
forever.
Yeah, because we can't have somebody get out there drowned.
No.
Best we can, you know.
And Gavin's gonna have to start patrolling it
Yeah.
a little bit.
Where are your trunks there, Gavin? Where are your trunks?
Do we have to come up with our own ordinance, trespassing ordinance, and the penalty would be? Cause the severity of somebody going out there and swimming and drowning is pretty monumental.
Well, the problem's gonna be you allow people out there to do stuff. You allow people out there to fish.
That was the comment. Is
So
if
the
we
question
can't
becomes,
swim,
what
why
are
can
you
we
doing?
fish?
It can't be a trespass because you have people back there. So and you're gonna charge a 12-year-old a crime for jumping in the water?
No, but have we formally allowed fishing there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If we don't want any more, pretty much gotta put a fence around the whole daggum thing.
Well, no, you just gate off both ends and, your attempt is made and put your no trespassing signs up.
Okay.
We could
Alright.
say no
We
fishing
at least wanna
unless,
think about
unless you open it up
I
for
would hate
fishing.
to see that
Well, I
though.
would hate to see it
Yeah.
too, but unless
it's
we'd
just
open it up
that-
for a derby or
Well, in
something.
theory, those are licensed people too. I understand the
Yes.
fishing license, but it still is. And so you know the rules when you're going into a state entity to fish. I can't
Well,
go.
that wasn't the thing though, the thing was how do you separate out the fishing from the swimming and and like you say, if
Correct.
you're fishing, you can't have trespassing, I mean, you know,
I don't think it's an ordinance. I think it's a policy, and I think that it's. I mean, you could do it as an ordinance. It doesn't need to have any teeth, and I think it's Gavin going, get the heck out of the water, get the heck out of the water. Then when the kid gives him the finger, you can go deal with it. It's a separate. That now you're not. Now you've gone up and beyond.
we're
to
not
that
talking
on the
about
rules.
just kids though, we're talking
Understand
about
that.
whole families, mom and dads and their kids taking them out there and bragging about it.
Yeah.
Whether it's really happening or not, I
It's
haven't seen it,
happening.
but
Yeah.
But I would say once or twice getting chirped at by a cop.
I'm sure you have, I've
We
seen
take care
more
of some
dogs
of that.
back in there.
You get chirped at by a cop once or twice. I think is probably the extent that the council needs to, I think, deal with it. Is to let that part of it be enforced. I don't think you need a separate ordinance. If it's no swimming, it's no swimming.
Right.
okay.
So if you catch them out there, Galvin, I guess they're swimming, then you run them about out and say, if you catch it there again, you know.
There better be a fish on your hook.
Or else what?
You can't.
Yeah.
You
There's
can't.
nowhere else.
Yeah, no else.
That's just my point. We can have Gavin go do it, but he has no teeth.
Until they do something that breaks the law that doesn't involve them swimming.
Yeah, I mean, as far as
those
the
people
swimming,
don't.
we have no way of preventing it.
Every person that I've told to leave, they get up, they
I'm
leave.
sure they leave.
You
And
leave
who
it.
knows? I'm not gonna sit there all night.
No, of course not.
They leave, I follow them out, go around the block,
I'm
go
looking
back, and
for-
I'm not gonna see them till I go back there.
I'm
Right.
looking for a deterrent.
Put a fence up, gate both ends. It's about the only way you're gonna be able to
Can-
keep people out for trespassing. You're gonna have to get rid of the fishing.
Well, another potential thought is you could. I don't know how you do this. I'd have to do research on it, but you could gate it off, and then you could in theory either sell or license people to fish.
That's what I was just gonna ask, is could we make it a fishing club?
And only those people that are licensed by us.
And the fee could be nominal, $5. I mean,
$5.
just enough that someone's had to put forth the effort to
And
do it.
only those people that have permission, anybody else would be trespassing.
And everyone's able to be a member.
Right.
Anybody from anywhere.
Yeah, anyone can come apply for it. You're not gonna say no, but it now puts you on notice that your purpose there is to,
Fish.
yeah, and then in theory, if they broke it, you could revoke it. You could do something like that. And that may be the route, and as a village, you may wanna look at that as well, as a way to deal
I
with
like
it.
that idea.
I
You
like
just
that
made up
idea.
for not being here last month.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, that on the front page of the paper. I hope everyone saw me. I looked good.
Then they're gonna
Yeah, he
have
was
a
where he
card
said
like
he
a
was,
fishing
yeah.
license, then they're gonna have to have it on them so they can show Gavin,
If I
and
see
they're still
somebody,
gonna go
I'm
swimming.
Go out there.
Cause you're
Check
gonna
the
offer it
cards.
to everybody.
Like, how do I know that? For example, unless I go out there every time I see somebody out there and check their card to see if they're allowed to fish there, there's nothing gonna stop
They-
people
they
from just
won't
going
know.
in and fishing whether they pay the fee or
They're
not.
gonna ask the same questions you're asking right now, and looking at your badge, maybe that's enough to save somebody's life. And the fees, if you put it on, the fees will go to the
You want a
501c3.
I think it's definitely something that needs to be more researched
Yeah.
and to find the best course of action before anything
all
can be
the- right.
decided. But I think that it's an interesting point.
Yeah.
And then again, and if you keep it extremely nominal, if you're into fishing and you want to fish in the quarry, you're gonna float the $5.
Yeah.
I'm just making this up, but you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
not.
I
I
mean,
think it's a good idea.
Definitely something to explore, and I think the committee would be interested in it as well.
Yeah.
Well, and
That would be a way
you
to
really wouldn't
make
have to
money.
have, necessarily have a fee to it, or you could have a minimum like $1.
It's
So,
still an
so the kids could do it
obligation.
or something, because you know, some people don't have $5 or whatever, but the point is they still would have to apply for it.
You
before
are
they do it,
keeping
right?
you are keeping a database of who is allowed to be back there.
Right.
Yes,
And holding them accountable, so when someone isn't, now you can bang them for trespassing,
Right.
first off. If you got people who are taking a family back there who's not supposed to be there.
I think it's interesting.
It's good.
Well, I think what we need to do is just do one thing at a time. Like
Yes,
when
I
we
agree.
When we come across something else, then
we tackle it.
don't just,
Right.
I think now we're giving everybody ideas of what's going on.
Those ideas though are focused on one thing, that's the one
That's the key.
priority.
Yeah, the
we have.
safety.
Stop the swimming, save people's lives.
Right.
Yes,
I
exactly.
agree. So,
Okay.
good discussion, right?
Yes, that was
Yes.
an excellent. I'm so happy I came, and
Me too.
And we're happy that you'll take the bull by the horns and go.
I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my
Yes.
very
That's all we
best.
expect.
You always have.
Thank you guys.
Yes.
I will not be able to be here. I don't think you really need me anymore
Nope.
until
Nope.
it starts really getting some traction. So
Okay.
Okay.
have a great board.
Yeah, have fun.
Well,
Thanks,
John.
Alicia.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, worked out well for John, nobody flipped him off yet.
I wasn't here last week, but I heard last month, but I heard about it.
What?
Right now.
I wasn't
Sorry,
here
I
last month,
apologize.
but I heard about it. I was working the polls over in Fostoria last.
No, but
Okay, we're getting away. Let's keep going here
Let's
now.
get done.
Okay, we go to zoning.
I'm not gonna say it's just.
All right, the only thing I got for zoning, as far as policy, is we talked 2 months ago about getting a zoning inspector from Lake Tiburon, which I think is a lot better idea than us local jokers doing it. What's the council think about that?
How much?
I have no idea, we'll have to contact him.
I think we should find out what,
John's handing out all the permits now.
Right,
so-
exactly.
And he obviously knows a lot more about the zoning laws, and I was just and it's not working, so. And we still have a lot of violators. We did talk about 2 months ago about a forgiveness policy where we would
regroup here and try to get things straightened out.
regroup and try to get everybody in town to understand that we do have a zoning, you can't just bring in sheds and park them, and so forth and so on. But on the other hand, we haven't done the greatest job in enforcing, so this is what we wanna do. We'll give you guys a break. There will be no penalties or fines. If within 90 days you approach us and fill out the proper permit, building permit, and pay the fee, whatever that is. And if you don't at the end of the 90 days, this is where the zoning inspector comes in. It's somebody impartial that comes through the town, looks at it, and he's not gonna know exactly which one's brand new and which one's not, but he can ask questions. And he can come to us and we can say, okay, this person, they should be, and maybe we'll have to go after them with, may end up in court. So you either remove it or pay the penalty and the fee and go on with that, so.
And then I would think that the council would be pretty liberal in their granting of the permits, and if they're needed to, in theory, someone brought a variance or what have you, I think that particularly something that's been pre-existing for some time, the council would be pretty liberal in their.
We are, we're just
Right.
trying to protect the property.
No, I think that's a good idea.
That's all we're doing.
No, I like that quite a bit.
They had a company, and they probably got one in your neck of the woods too, but they had a company in Tiffin, Sheds Direct, that's what it is. And a lot of towns that I've lived in, you didn't need a permit for a temporary structure. So you just drug them in, and if they don't pay the fee, they just repossess the thing and take it anyway.
You just couldn't be.
But here in Betsville, those kind of structures need a permit. But most people, with the exception of you, and I'm one of the exceptions, buy them and they just bring them in and set them down, and nobody knows what you're gonna do with them, but they don't pay anything for them. So we gotta get around that sort of thing.
I don't think a vast majority of people have no idea. I wouldn't necessarily know if I moved into a town and I bought build a small shed, that I couldn't just do that.
Well, that's,
Well, people have been so used to just doing what they want to, you know, that, you know.
I think one of the key things is gonna be our next, one of our topics, as far as our, website.
Yeah, cause I've thought more about that, I guess we finish up zoning
When
here.
we get to that,
Yeah,
once
have
we
to talk about
establish that website, we start putting this information on the website.
Trying to get things
Then
clarified.
it's gonna be easier to communicate to people, then we can go ahead, I mean, it's been like this for quite a while, so it's not like it's an emergency or anything.
Right.
So, otherwise, that's what I have. And he's gonna be one of my, we're gonna be a team,
And the best buddies.
All right.
once we get this going.
Okay, if that's all you got, then we'll
That's all I
go
got.
we'll on to old business. First thing is the Rita non-responders update.
I can do that, and then I'll take, if I can, I'll do that, and I'll just take annexation at the same
Okay.
kind of sense
Okay.
I'll be in the zone.
Okay.
All right, I have updates. So, updates on the Rita stuff. We got hot off the press list. I talked to Diane from Rita today. I have the most hot up to date non-responder list. And I just went through and knocked off who was from 2012 because those would be outside the statute of limitations. So what I'm going to do is I will take this to Derek. He's the county prosecutor, and just say, give him the list and figure out who's going to do the actual enforcement of it, whether it's if we want to deal with Rick again, or if someone else from the office will do it, or they could, in theory, they could do a special prosecutor and let me do it. However they want to do it is fine. Figuring out what, if any, costs there are to us for doing that, and then, but we've got all the names. And then she had a fair question. That's a question I'll ultimately ask Derek as well, is how do we want to do it, since everyone here operates on PO boxes. So if you want to do personal service, I mean, it's not that many people, but it's enough. Or we can do certified mail, but certified mail is not going to go to a PO box.
No, it doesn't.
So that stuff we'll have to figure out. You can, but I can't imagine someone who's got 7 years of non-payment from Rita.
Sign for it.
No. Which means you're gonna personal serve them anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and some of these people, everyone's moderately local. There's a Kansas here or there, not city of Kansas, village of Kansas,
We
that sort
want
of
to
stuff.
let them know that we know they're all in the bed, so.
Yeah.
City limits.
Well, no, because they could have worked here.
Yeah, they could have
Oh,
worked
yeah.
here.
They could have just worked here. And my feeling is this, because we don't know what people owe, is you go after them for not filing the return.
Right.
That's the crime. The crime is the return. Because we don't, because of the way Rita operates, we don't have any clue what people actually owe in taxes. And to charge someone for crime you don't know what they owe is problematic.
Right.
So,
They aren't allowed to tell us? how
Rita
much?
just does it. I mean, we don't know, because the employers don't withhold.
Right.
So, if let's say I worked here, and my